It was supposed to be a normal morning on the view, bright lights, easy chatter, and the usual round of celebrity guests. But when Clint Eastwood walked onto that stage, the energy shifted. You could feel it even through the TV screen. The audience cheered, yet the panel's smiles looked just a bit too tight. Everyone knew Eastwood wasn't the type to filter his opinions, and that alone made producers nervous. For years, The View has been the loud table of American television: 5 women, one hot topic, and endless debate. Joy Behar, the outspoken voice of the show, has built her career on sharp political commentary. Clint, on the other hand, is the quiet storm of Hollywood, a man of few words but strong beliefs. When those two worlds meet, you don't get small talk, you get sparks. At first, things were polite. Joy complimented Clint's long career. Clint smiled and joked that he's still standing after 60 years in Hollywood. The crowd laughed. But beneath the laughter, there was tension to generations, 2 ideologies, staring across the same table. Joy represented modern, progressive Hollywood. Clint stood for the old guard, the lone gunslinger who doesn't bow to trends. Then came the moment. Joy leaned in, that signature smirk on her face, and asked, "Clint, do you really think Hollywood is against people like you are? Do you just like playing the victim?" The studio fell silent. Clint didn't move for a second. Then he tilted his head, smiled slowly, and said, "I don't play victims, Joy. I play survivors." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The tension turned electric. For a heartbeat, no one knew if it was all in good fun or the start of something bigger. Behind the scenes, a producer whispered into the headset, "Stay live, don't cut." Cameras zoomed closer. You could almost see the invisible line forming on the table, the line between Hollywood, glamour, and political grit. That's when Clint leaned forward and added softly, "The problem isn't disagreement, it's that people stopped listening." Joy's smile faded. The other hosts shifted in their seats. It was no longer just a talk show, it was a showdown. It's between 2 visions of America, and just when it seemed the room might cool down, Joy fired back with a line that would soon explode across social media. Dramatic pause. What she said next would change everything. The moment hung in the air like a held breath. Joy Behar, never one to back down, leaned toward Clint Eastwood and said, "Maybe people stopped listening because some ideas belong in the past." A few people in the audience clapped an awkward, uncertain sound. Clint's jaw tightened just a little. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. When he finally spoke, the studio lights suddenly felt hotter. "The past isn't the enemy, Joy," he said evenly. "It's what teaches us who we are. Erase that and you erase the truth." You could see Joy glance at the producer off camera, as if asking, "Are we really still live?" The answer was yes. Every second of this exchange was streaming to millions of viewers. Sonny Hostin tried to lighten the mood, throwing in a question about Clint's latest film. But it was too late. The table had turned into a battlefield of words. Joy pressed again. "You make these movies about tough men, guns, and justice. Don't you think that feeds into the wrong message in today's world?" Clint leaned back in his chair, eyes half closed, a small smile appearing. "You can't blame a movie for how the world behaves. Art doesn't make people violent. Politics does." The crowd gasped. Some cheered, others booed. It wasn't just entertainment anymore. It was ideology colliding live on daytime television. Behind the scenes, the director whispered, "Go to break. Go to break." But the floor manager shook his head. The segment was pulling massive live engagement. Producers couldn't look away. Joy folded her arms. "So you're saying the problem is us?" Clint looked straight at her and said quietly, "I'm saying the problem is pretending there's only one side worth hearing." Blah. Studio fell into that rare silence where every viewer knows they're watching a moment that will replay across news channels for days. Then off camera, a crew member shouted, "Cut to commercial," but the feed didn't switch fast enough. Clint's final glance toward Joy, half pity, half challenge, was caught on tape. That 3-second stare would go viral before the day ended. By the time the cameras stopped rolling, damage was already done. Within minutes, clips of the heated exchange began spreading across X, Instagram, and YouTube. One particular 3-second moment, Clint's cold, steady stare at Joy Behar, was replayed millions of times before the show even aired in full. The internet was divided. Hashtag Team Clint started trending first, filled with fans calling him a legend for speaking truth. Moments later, hashtag Team Joy began climbing too, with users praising her for standing up to outdated Hollywood thinking. It wasn't just a talk show debate anymore. It was another cultural battlefield. Mainstream media jumped in fast. Late-night hosts cracked jokes. Political pundits dissected the argument. And entertainment blogs pushed headlines like Clint Eastwood cancels The View on live TV. But behind the noise, something deeper was happening. Viewers weren't just reacting to two celebrities arguing. They were reacting to what each of them represented. Clint, too many Americans, symbolized an era of grit, independence, and freedom of speech. Joy, to others, symbolized progress, accountability, and the new voice of Hollywood. It wasn't really about who was right. It was about whose world you lived in. In one viral post, a user wrote, "This isn't Clint versus Joy. It's the old America versus the new one." That comment alone got 500,000 likes. By evening, producers at ABC were flooded with calls. Some advertisers reportedly asked if they could pause their spots until things cooled down. The network PR team released a short statement. "The View encourages open discussion. Sometimes, that discussion gets intense." But off-camera, insiders whispered that executives were furious. One anonymous staff member leaked a message to a blog claiming that the producers had been warned. Clint Eastwood was too unpredictable for live TV. That leak turned the fire into an inferno. Every outlet wanted a reaction. Every YouTuber wanted to analyze it. Every viewer wanted to know, would Clint be invited back? Was this the end of his run on The View forever? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. The next morning, fans noticed something strange. Clint Eastwood's name had quietly disappeared from The View's official website and social media pages. The episode replay was missing from ABC's streaming service. Comments were turned off. Something was clearly happening behind the scenes. By midday, an industry insider posted a single line on X. "ABC execs have decided Clint Eastwood won't be invited back to The View, ever." That single post set off another explosion. News outlets ran with the headline, "Clint Eastwood banned after live clash with Joy Behar." Some called it justified. Others called it censorship. Behind closed doors, ABC executives were in damage control mode. According to leaks, major advertisers had complained about the backlash online. Some sponsors didn't want their commercials airing during controversial content. The network's priority wasn't politics, it was business. But this wasn't just another PR storm. It turned into a question of principle. Had a Hollywood legend been punished for speaking his mind? Meanwhile, Clint remained silent. No tweets, no interviews, no public response. For decades, he'd built his image on stoic calm, the man who speaks less but means more. His silence became its own statement. Fans filled the gap with their own voices. Thousands of comments appeared under old interviews and film clips. They can cancel Clint, but they can't cancel history. He stood his ground. That's what real men do. At the same time, critics argue the opposite, saying his comments were outdated, even dangerous in today's social climate. "This isn't the 70s anymore," one writer posted. "Times have changed. So should he." The debate stretched far beyond the studio. It became a mirror of American division. Left versus right, freedom versus decorum, tradition versus progress. But just when everyone thought Clint would never respond, rumors began spreading that he had agreed to one final interview, and according to sources, he wasn't coming to apologize. He was coming to set the record straight. For almost a week, Clint Eastwood said nothing. Reporters camped outside his home, tabloids guessed, and social media buzzed with theories. Some said he was furious. Others claimed he was planning legal action. But those who knew Clint understood he doesn't speak in anger. He waits until the noise fades. Then one quiet Thursday morning, he finally appeared. A live interview on a major network, no Hollywood glamour. Just Clint sitting in a simple chair, wearing a dark jacket and that familiar calm expression. The host asked gently, "Mr. Eastwood, what really happened on The View?" Clint took a breath and said, "Nothing happened that hasn't been happening in America for years. People stop talking to each other the moment they disagree." The words were slow, deliberate, like lines from one of his films. He wasn't defending himself, he was diagnosing a nation, he continued. "I grew up in a country where people could argue, shake hands, and still respect each other. Now we cancel, block, delete. That's not progress. That's fear." The clip hit the internet within minutes, spreading faster than the fight itself. Even people who didn't agree with his politics admitted the moment felt real. It wasn't just about Clint and Joy. Any Merit was about what America had become. Divided screens, divided hearts, divided truths. Political commentators scrambled to respond. Some called Clint's message a masterclass in grace. Others accused him of romanticizing a past that excluded too many voices. But the viewers, the millions watching at home, heard something simpler: honesty. Later that evening, Clint posted one short message on social media. "You don't have to agree to have a conversation. You just have to care enough to listen." That post broke 1 million likes in a single day. The controversy slowly cooled, replaced by reflection. Even The View replayed parts of the interview, calling it a reminder that dialogue still matters. And as the world moved on, one truth remained: Clint Eastwood hadn't been silenced. He had turned a heated argument into a national conversation, because sometimes the loudest statement is spoken quietly. If this story made you stop and think, don't just scroll away. Moments like this aren't just about Hollywood or television. They're about us. About how one conversation, one disagreement, can expose the truth behind the headlines. So before you go, hit that like button if you believe open dialogue still matters, even when it gets uncomfortable. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Were you Team Clint or Team Joy? Or do you think both of them showed a side of America we all need to understand? And if you want more stories that go beyond the headlines, real talk, real emotion, real impact, then make sure you subscribe right now. Turn on the notification bell, because the next episode dives even deeper into the moments Hollywood doesn't want you to see. We're not just watching the news. We're questioning it. We're not just reacting. We're learning what's really going on behind the scenes. Stay curious. Stay bold. And remember, the truth isn't hidden. You just have to keep watching.